Just the other day, our family had a rather intense conversation on the topic of consent. The issue was this: when someone is violating your boundaries, like repetitively making an annoying noise or shoving you out of the way to have access to the sink, if you say stop, under what conditions does the other person have to stop? Do they only have to stop if you ask politely, please stop, or do they also have to stop if you angrily yell, stop it? Is it okay for the other person to keep breaking your boundaries until you say it nice in order to teach you a lesson? What if the shoving at the sink started as playful and at first you thought it was funny, but after a couple shoves, it got too rough and you changed your mind? When you change your mind and say no, is it okay for them to keep shoving you because you initially gave consent? As you can imagine, our family determined that the other person can't put conditions on when they will accept no and when they won't. No means no, and when you say no, it's the other person's responsibility to stop, no matter what. This month, we are talking about consent. If you remember from last month, I introduced the phrase, talk early, talk openly, and talk often. Let's jump right in with number 1. Talk early with your child about consent. Consent means permission for something to happen. Remember when I gave the illustration last month of building a pyramid with blocks? One of the core foundational principles of teaching young children about consent is teaching them about healthy sexual boundaries. I like this definition from Brené Brown. Boundaries are simply what's okay and what's not okay. I highly recommend the book, Good Touch, Bad Touch by Robert Kahn to teach young children the concepts they need to know about healthy sexual boundaries. I would say it's appropriate for preschool age up through about 8 years old. It's simple, straightforward, and it explains things very clearly. It also has a list of questions in the back that will help you ascertain whether your child understood the information, and they give you a chance to discuss with your child. One other resource I want to recommend on this topic is a video produced by Fierce Freedom that's available for free on our YouTube channel. The title is Justice Run 2020 for Kids. It's not as thorough as the book, but it's fun and interactive, and it does help reinforce some of the same concepts. That brings us to point number 2, which is to talk openly with your child about consent. No matter what age your child is, there are some concepts you need to cover about sexual boundaries, and you need to be specific. The following concepts are from that Good Touch, Bad Touch book, but can be applied to any age. Number 1, identify for your child what kinds of touch are okay, like handshakes and hugs, and what kinds of touch are not okay, like hitting and grabbing. Inappropriate touches make people feel uncomfortable, and it can be harmful. Number 2, explain that it is also not okay for someone to touch their private parts. Be specific and identify body parts using correct terminology: breasts, bottom, penis, and vagina. Number 3, explain the exceptions to the rule when a doctor is doing an exam or if they need help from a parent to bathe when injured. Other than that, no one else should be touching your child's private parts. Those parts are called private because they belong only to your child. Number 4, emphasize that your child always has the right to be safe and say no, no matter who is touching them. Instruct them to say no, get away from the perpetrator, and tell a trusted adult right away. If the first adult they tell doesn't believe them, they should keep telling trusted adults until someone does believe them. Number 5, help your child identify which adults in their life they can trust. These people might include family members, school staff, or medical or emergency personnel. Number 6, explain that if someone does touch their private parts, it is not your child's fault. Your child has done nothing wrong. It is the person who is touching them that is doing something wrong. The perpetrator might even be someone who lives with you or a close friend of your family. Number 7, let your child know that if someone is touching their private parts, that person will likely tell your child to keep it a secret so they won't get in trouble. The perpetrator may even threaten harm or lie and say that your child will be in trouble if they tell. Be sure your child knows that they should tell a trusted adult no matter what, and that your child will not get in trouble. One last thing to cover that is not in the book. Explain to your child that these rules apply to everyone, and that it's not okay for your child to touch other people's private parts either. For those of you with teenagers, you need to talk to your teen about the importance of consent when it comes to having sex. I know this is a sticky point because if you're like me, you don't want your child having sex as a teen, and you don't want to talk to them in a way that presumes that they're going to. However, there is a way to present the information in a factual manner that is not suggestive. It is imperative that we have this conversation given the prevalence of sexual assault in our country, as well as the attitudes that support it, as Kat referenced in last week's episode. Even if your child would never dream of taking advantage of someone sexually, they need to be prepared for the reality that there are people in our society who perpetuate sexual violence. There's a video on YouTube called Consent Clean, as in TEA, that is a good starting point for conversation with teens about consensual sex. Make sure you watch the clean version. The other version has a lot of swear words. One other point for parents of teens. It is important that you teach your child the laws regarding consensual sex. Laws vary from state to state, but as a federal statute in the US, the minimum requirement of consent is 12 years old, while the age at which there are no restrictions for consensual sexual activities is age 18. Be sure to teach your child the law regarding consensual sex in your state. If a child is not of the age of consent in their state, it doesn't matter if their partner is also underage or if they said yes. It is still illegal. Finally, our last point is to talk often with your child about consent. Be sure to look for those teachable moments. My family's conversation about consent that I shared with you earlier started with someone making repetitive, annoying noises in the car. You can also model healthy boundaries by respecting your child when they say no to tickling, horseplay, or even hugs. One last idea, if your child is having trouble saying no to others, try role-playing with your child to help them practice being assertive. As always, I will leave you with a few action steps you can take this week. Number 1, if you haven't yet addressed the issues of sexual boundaries and consent with your child, make a plan this week for an information session with your child. This means that you will sit down and have a focused conversation together. To prepare, based on your child's age and development, choose a resource that you are going to use. Review the material and the points that you want to share. Then choose the time and place and do it. Number 2, listen to bonus episode number 2 on being present with your child. The information in that session will help you foster open communication in your relationship, no matter where you are on your parenting journey. And number 3, remember, just choose one baby step this week. You can do it. See you next time.